Good evening. Welcome tonight to On the Go with AAUW. This program is sponsored by the Alexandria branch of the American Association of University Women. With us tonight are several women who are local members of local AAUW branches who are also active community leaders. These women have been working to create a better world for all of us. On my right is Nancy McKenzie. She is the chairman of the coordinating committee for the Capitol Hill's Lobby Corps. On her right is Ellen Pickering, who is a member of the Master Plan Rezoning Task Force of the City of Alexandria. On my left is Nancy Richardson. She is a member of the Women's Network. She's been working to place women on state and local governing boards. And on her left is Karen Stupski. She has been working to lift the ban on homosexuals in the military. I'd like to start with Nancy McKenzie. Nancy, could you tell us what your position is with the Lobby Corps and some of what you've been doing with them?
All right. I'm the chair of the coordinating committee of the AAUW Capitol Hill Lobby Corps. And what that means is that I am a volunteer. I have a committee of 5 women, including myself, who act as a coordinating committee for the Lobby Corps. The Lobby Corps consists of anywhere from 12 to 20 women at any one time. We meet on nearly every Thursday when Congress is in session and go up on Capitol Hill to lobby on AAUW's issues.
Very good. Can you tell us how much of your time does this commitment take?
Well, when Congress is in session, it takes the better part of every Thursday, plus some additional time during the week to study the issues and also for administrative work that I do in conjunction with being on the coordinating committee.
Very good. And could you tell us, how does AAU develop its public policy program?
All right. Every other year, in the even-numbered years, AAUW puts out a questionnaire to all its members. It's published in our Outlook. And the responses from these members are used to form a proposed public policy program. It's put together by a committee of about 14 women who represent AAUW members from all over the United States. They also represent a broad range of careers and ages, a mixture of ethnic groups. After they have put together a proposed program, it is published in our Outlook in the early spring of the odd-numbered year. It will come out early in 1993. The members then can look over this program, discuss it in their local branches and among themselves, and then at our national convention, which is held in June of odd-numbered years, this program is voted on by the membership at large. They have the power at that time to make any amendments, any changes they want to in the program. When they finally come to a consensus and the program is approved by the membership, the voting membership, it becomes our policy for the next 2 years.
Very good. And in the 12 years that you've been working with the Lobby Corps, I'm sure that you've had some interesting experiences. Can you tell us what some of these are?
Well, first of all, we try not to get lost on Capitol Hill, but we do. We enjoy going into the offices of the congressman because every office is different. I enjoy looking at their decorations because I think it tells me a lot about the person who holds the office. Some of the walls are decorated with all the awards they have received, and they've all got bunches of awards from various groups. Some decorate with artifacts from their home state or home district. One congressman had a collection of hats, hard hats, in his office. There's one congressman on Capitol Hill that keeps 2 cats in his office, and that's that's a bit of a shocker when you walk in and see that. And we've had many, many good experiences on Capitol Hill, very few poor experiences. For the most part, their staffs are very friendly, very welcoming. They are interested in our views, and for the most part, it's been a very, very positive experience for all our members.
Can you tell me, do Republicans and Democrats have distinctive styles in their decorating, or?
No, except for the elephants and the donkeys. They really don't.
Yeah, okay. Okay, fine, thank you. What has the Lobby Corps meant to you in terms of your personal growth and development?
Well, it's made me more aware of the issues on Capitol Hill, particularly women's issues. It's made me more interested and more aware of how bills get through Congress. It's a rather complicated process, and generally I've become much more aware of the political process in a nonpartisan way.
Yes. Very good. Did you have any education in your background that prepared you for this?
No, I didn't. No specific education. And I had not been particularly interested in politics. But when I heard about the Lobby Corps, I was at a time in my life when I had some free time, and I thought, that sounds interesting. I think I would like to try it. And I've been with it for 12 years now.
Excellent, excellent. How did you get involved in this to start with?
Well, in 1980, our Virginia State Convention was held in Alexandria, and as part of the convention, they took us all up on Capitol Hill, and we met the Lobby Corps at that time, and that was really the start of my interest in it.
Excellent, wonderful. Did you bring something with you tonight that you could show us?
Yes. AAUW has learned over the years that you don't get very much done if you just work alone. You work in coalitions with many, many groups that have similar interests. And in one of the groups we have worked very closely with is the Women's Legal Defense Fund. They put together this folder containing a lot of information on the Family and Medical Leave Act. But they wanted to get this into the hands of every congressional office on the Hill, and there are 535 offices. The Lobby Corps had the fun of delivering these to every office. And we hope that the congressmen and their aides read the information, and we think it's been fairly successful. We've managed to get it passed several times, and then it was vetoed by the president. But this last year, the Senate then passed it by the 2/3 majority needed to override a veto. Unfortunately, we did not get the 2/3 majority in the House, so it will be brought up again early in the 103rd Congress, and we hope then the Congress will be more favorable.
Very good. Good luck.
Thank you.
Hi, Ellen. Now, could you tell us a little bit about some of your work on the Master Plan Rezoning Task Force, and also, first of all, describe what it is so we know.
Well, the task force to review the master plan of the city of Alexandria is set in place with a charter, a requirement of the city charter. And I actually serve on the small area plan. And the small area plan that I serve on is the Potomac Yard. Probably, it is in fact, the largest undeveloped part of Alexandria.
Yes. Could you give us some idea for what some of the other alternatives might have been for Potomac Yard?
Well, those of you who have followed the fiasco in the month of July and August, September, and the relief in October when the Redskins Stadium by Jack Kent Cooke was sent away from Alexandria, can remember the complete turmoil that stadium proposal threw Alexandria into.
Yeah, thank you. Now, as a member of the Master Plan Rezoning Task Force, what are your main activities and responsibilities?
Well, what happens in the small area plan, it's that the city is divided into 13 or 15 small areas, and all of the citizens who live within that area have an opportunity to look at each block, to look at the businesses, to look at the residents, to look at the kind of development that is within that small area plan. And they have the opportunity then to make their recommendations to the City Council, who approves them or alters them perhaps a little. But the Potomac Yard was empty. No one lived on the Potomac Yard, and nobody lived in Potomac Green, which is an area right adjacent to the GW Parkway. And so the City Council had to select people throughout the city, to sort of a representative group, to serve on the Potomac Yard small area plan. And we had quite a chore, because you can just imagine the kind of ambition developers had for that property. And then you can imagine the horror, or the desires, if you will, of the neighborhoods who abutted the property, who didn't want to be swallowed with this immense development. And then we also had the people in South Arlington who were also involved in the Potomac Yard development. And so we really had to work together and come up with something that would keep Alexandria livable, keep it in the same ambience that we have now, not letting the buildings be too high, having a good mix of residential, not too many office buildings, and just the right amount of commercial to support both the office and the residential.
Yes. Now, was this a special subgroup that was appointed just to look at the stadium?
No,
Potomac Yard area. The Potomac. At the stadium, it was.
The stadium came in as a shock to all of us.
Yeah.
We were attending the final public hearing on June 13th, and the newspapers told us the following Monday that the governor of Virginia and Kent Cook had signed this agreement to bring the stadium onto the property, which we were approving another development plan for. So it was totally unexpected by those of us who worked on the small area plan, and by the city council and the mayor. It was totally unexpected. So we had to rally the forces and look very hard and do all of the kinds of things that citizens have to do to bring forward the citizens' position.
Yeah, it sounds like this may relate to some of your current activities too, at least your interest in terms of working on the gridlock, your efforts to preserve the shape of Alexandria.
Yes.
And could you tell us a little bit about some of what that is?
Well, there's a group formed called No Gridlock. I have my No Gridlock hat, which I wear to different meetings and gatherings to let the city council know that we are there. And the purpose of No Gridlock is to have the developers explain to us how their proposal will not damage neighborhoods. And also, we evaluate the new developments as they come in. We don't just fight them, we then offer recommendations.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you very much. And now we'd like to turn to Nancy Richardson. She's presently out looking for more women like Ellen Pickering to place on local governing boards and on state governing boards. And would you please tell us a little bit about what the Women's Network is and what some of your activities are on the Women's Network?
Certainly. The Virginia Women's Network is a coalition of statewide organizations and individuals who have banded together to increase their lobbying effectiveness in Richmond. The network represents some 10,000 people in Virginia at this time and continues to grow. As for my role in the network, I am vice chair, which it really doesn't have job description. I do what I'm told. I have an awful lot of fun doing it. I'd always had an interest in public policy, which I had never explored. The opportunity was presented to me to participate in the Virginia Women's Network. I accepted enthusiastically.
Wonderful. How was it that you were chosen to do this job? Do you know?
That will remain a mystery. I was called upon by Jan Harrison, the former president of Virginia AAUW, and I'm not certain to this day why. I think I must have made a spectacle of myself at some time or another and captured her attention.
Must have been a good spectacle. And tell us now, where is this headquartered?
The Virginia Women's Network, most of the board members, I almost hesitate to say, but demographics seem to insist or seem to lend themselves to most of the board members living in the northern part of Virginia. But the network represents people throughout the state. Heads of all the member organizations, whether they be statewide, regional, or local, are members of the board of directors.
Do you have any specific goals above and beyond just placing women? Or do you have any specific public policy issues you're working for, or?
Yes, the network has targeted, in the couple years of its existence, it has targeted a handful of issues, and it's been successful in each case. One of the best examples of a network success was the Virginia General Assembly's passing a memorializing resolution in the 1992 session, which calls for the U.S. Congress to release the ERA, the Equal Rights Amendment, to the states once again for ratification.
I bet you many people are glad to know that that's going to be happening.
Well, this is a particularly significant step in Virginia because, of course, Virginia was one of those states that did not ratify originally.
Yes. Do you have any specific plans for working towards ratification? Any efforts of the group?
Well, the ERA Ratification Council, which is a member of the network, is working on this project currently. And of course, our other project, and the one we're working on most enthusiastically at the moment, is the Equal Representation Project that you mentioned earlier, our attempt to encourage the governor, and this is governor in the generic sense, I would like to add. Governor Wilder has a wonderful record of appointing women to boards, committees, and commissions in very visible and powerful positions, the non-traditional positions. But to encourage future governors to appoint women to boards, committees, and commissions, the state, in numbers approximately equal to appointments awarded to men.
Excellent. That'll be wonderful. Can you anticipate for us how the shape of government might change as a result of this, if more women are placed onto governing?
Well, hopefully, at this point, the population of Virginia is 51% women, 49% men. The makeup of the boards, committees, and commissions as of 1991-92, 70-some% men, 71% men, 29% women. The makeup of the Virginia General Assembly, 88% men, 12% women. Often appointments to boards, committees, and commissions provide an entree for women seeking elective office. And it's hoped that with a more equal representation of men and women, not only will we have more women in elected positions, but public policy will be made which better reflects the differing viewpoints and perspectives on life of men and women. It will be a more balanced representation, and I think it will benefit us all, men and women alike.
I think so too. Now, could you tell us how, if women are interested in being appointed to governing bodies, who do they contact and what qualifications would they need?
Yes, this makes me think I didn't bring a Vita form with me that I should have had to show everyone, but there is such a form available. It can be secured through the Virginia Women's Network or through any of the member organizations such as AAUW, Business and Professional Women, Virginia Now. Once one has such a form in hand, they should combine it with a resume. They should seek a letter of recommendation from their state delegate or senator. Package the whole thing, multiple copies are preferable, and they can mail that to Equal Representation, Post Office Box 790, Great Falls, Virginia 22066.
Thank you, thank you. Now, you brought some statistics or charts to show us. You're going to present those at the end of the show?
Yes.
Okay, fine, thank you. Okay. Hi, we'd now like to move to Karen Stupski. She's our last guest of the night. She has been working to lift the ban on homosexuals in the military, and would you please tell us a little bit about what some of your activities are and why you got involved?
Okay, I'm a member of the Gay, Lesbian, and Bisexual Veterans of America, which is a veterans group that's working to overturn the ban, and I currently work at the Human Rights Campaign Fund, which is the nation's largest lesbian and gay political organization. It's based right here in DC. And most of what I do to try to challenge this policy is I lobby on Capitol Hill, and I've also helped to organize some demonstrations to protest the policy. And I work with the media to try to focus public attention on the discrimination that goes on. And I've also been involved in counseling active duty service members who are currently being discriminated against.
In other words, some who are facing discharge?
Right.
Yes. Discharge
or just investigations or harassment.
Okay, thank you. And for how long have you been doing this now?
I've been working to overturn the policy for about 2 years. And it all started when I was discharged from the Navy after I told my boss that I was gay.
Why did you tell your boss that you were gay? I imagine you would have known what some of the consequences of that would be.
Right. I knew exactly what was going to happen, and it wasn't a decision that I reached lightly. I thought about it for a long time, and when I would think about it logically, I would think, well, I should just hide and finish up my time, and then perhaps when I get out, go on to do something about it. But then I realized I just didn't want to wait. You know, I wanted to do something about it now, and it was also something I felt very strongly about. And
I can understand.
You know, and I had gotten one morning I just got myself so worked up that I just told her then.
And did she take immediate action, or did she try to counsel you to change? Or?
Oh, well, her response was that she didn't believe me at first, you know, because she had known me and she had worked with me on a whole Mediterranean deployment, and she thought perhaps it was a phase I was going through or that I was just unsure. But I told her that, you know, I felt that it was really true.
Okay. So then you were discharged in, what, 1990, and now you're working. Okay. What are your present activities? Could you go on and expand a little bit more on some of what you've been doing currently?
Sure. Well, some of our major achievements this summer was the introduction of a bill into Congress called the Military Freedom Act, which would end discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation in the military. And we currently have about 80 co-sponsors in the House and 9 in the Senate.
Excellent. That's very good. Do you see any potential for passage?
Well, it's not, obviously the 102nd Congress is over, but I think there's a very good chance it'll pass in the 103rd Congress. We have commitments from Senator Nunn that he'll hold hearings on it in the Senate next year, and also from Representative John Conyers, who said he will hold hearings in the House. And also, if Governor Clinton is elected, he has said that he will issue an executive order to overturn the policy.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
That's very good. Okay, now could you tell us some of your more memorable experiences that you've had since, and perhaps a little bit about how you've grown personally as a result of this?
Well, how I've grown personally, I think, is I've really realized that an individual can make a difference. And if you feel strongly about something, you need to get out there and do something about it instead of just sitting around and complaining. But the other thing I've learned is I've learned some of my limits, that you can't do it all by yourself, and you can't just be a complete workaholic. You have to take care of yourself, because if you're completely burnt out, you're not going to be able to work for social change.
Yes, definitely. I can imagine. What do you think you might go on and do if you're successful here? What would you think your next step would be as an individual?
I'm not sure. But I think I'd like to work more on women's issues rather than just gay and lesbian issues, because even though the discrimination against gay men and lesbians is so explicit in the military, I think that the discrimination against women it affects so many more people. Women are half the population.
And do you have any specific platforms for working for women's interests? Anything you specifically want to accomplish?
I think that the ERA would be great.
Very good. Okay. We'd like to thank you for the time that you have been here with us tonight. Why don't we go ahead and talk a little bit more? Ellen, why don't you go? You always seem to have something extra that you can say for us. Tell us a little bit about what some of your other activities have been with AAUW.
Well, one of the things that AAUW, our branch in Alexandria, has done is to provide food for Christ House on the 5th Wednesday. Whenever there is a 5th Wednesday, we all gather and cook for Christ House. And I think that's been a very successful program.
Yeah.
And I think the Alexandria branch has been so innovative in so many different projects, starting from the bicentennial, well, starting before the bicentennial, but certainly the bicentennial, which may seem like a long time ago now. We provided the first language bank for people who came to town who needed to have interpreters for all the languages. I think we had 56 languages in our bank, and we kept that going for quite a while. Now it's been taken over by the different jurisdictions. And so often I think that happens. Alexandria branch has been very active with your women's network type thing, and we try very hard to get people on all of the policy boards that we possibly can. And we've had women on the Women's Commission and the Consumer. Alexandria is just very, very active. Alexandria branch has been supportive to everybody, certainly supportive to me, both personally and professionally.
Can you tell me, what has being a member of AAUW meant to you? How has it contributed to your success in this position?
Well, I've enjoyed meeting the other members. That's been one of the most enriching things in my life. And that's been one of the joys of Lobby Corps, is that we meet not only members of other branches in Virginia, but branches from Maryland and branches from the District of Columbia, and then further women from across the United States. It's been a very enriching experience.
I would imagine so, an opportunity to meet so many people. And tell me, what would you like to go on and do after you finish working with the Virginia Women's Network? Do you have any long-range goals?
Actually, yes, I'd like to serve on a board, committee, or commission.
Anyone that you specifically have in mind?
Not at this time. There's a list of some 300. I would select from that list.
Okay. Karen, have you ever given any thought to serving on any governing bodies or boards?
Yes, if they come up with any kind of advisory committee for implementing a non-discrimination policy in the military, I would very much be interested in serving on that.
Would you have wanted to have continued on in the military if the issue of your homosexuality had not come to the fore?
Yes, and if they overturn the policy, I think I would be interested in finishing up my obligated service.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you. I'd like to thank all of you for being with us tonight. I'd like to thank our guests, Nancy McKenzie, Ellen Pickering, Nancy Richardson, and Karen Stupski, for being on the show. Their efforts and commitment in each of these areas is helping to build a better world for all of us. And we'd like to thank all of you for the support that you have given to AAUW. AAUW promotes equity for women, education and self-development over the lifespan, and positive societal change.